All right, so I'm really excited because I'm joined by Laura Hanley. She's traveled all the way from Portugal via Australia to come here and talk about how to scale the business behind your book without spending a cent on advertising. Um, she is a phenomenal ghostwriter and has built an incredible business working with some of the most legendary marketers and authors in the direct marketing space. And I'm sure I'm not giving you nearly enough credit for how awesome you are. So I'm flattered that you're here, and we're going to teach you some cool stuff about growing your business, specifically with the most perfect information product there is, which is a book. And it's the best kind of pitch that you can make to your perfect customers, because they'll go to bed with them. And so without further ado, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Laura, and maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit more.
No, I feel like you did a really good job. I mean, if that's the best kind of introduction I can have, I'm happy. I'm super excited to be here and doing this. I mean, you've done a lot of amazing work yourself, helping veteran entrepreneurs and small business owners scale their businesses, and you have millions of ideas constantly. Every time I talk to you, I feel like I've got so much work to go and do. So I know you're focusing a lot on helping business owners scale and find the hidden assets in their business and really grow up what they're doing. And I think, you know, anybody working with you is very lucky to have your focus and energy behind them. So I'm very excited to be able to talk about this with you.
Cool, thanks. And I know we've been wanting to get together and share what we're both passionate about, which is the book business and direct marketing. And I guess without further ado, we'll get into this little masterclass here. So I'm a proud combat engineer at this point in my business, and so this is 32 years of life, translated into 32 seconds, probably, maybe even less, of my journey to entrepreneurship. I joined the Army after high school, learned how to blow stuff up and mop floors, and neither of them were very lucrative, so I got into the elevator trade and had to start all over again, and work my way up to project management level, and realized I was building someone else's dream instead of my own, so I decided to write a book on my passion subject, which is bodyweight strength training, and learned that there's a lot more to selling books than just publishing them, and really identified myself as a direct marketer and as an entrepreneur. And I've been, since publishing the book 2 years ago, I've really honed in on my USP as a combat engineer and how to solve problems with pictures. So you make it up and make it real. And this is what I want to speak to my ideal avatar clients. I'm using their language that they understand. So I want to show you quickly is how what you're going to learn is, if you want to scale the business behind your book, leverage an asset which establishes your authority and brings in predictable revenue. And you don't want to waste time, money, or effort and get it right the first time. I know that when I published my book, it was, what do you want the copy to say? I had no idea what they were talking about. I was embarrassed as hell, because now, I mean, I'm a direct response copywriter. But when my publisher said, what do you want the copy to say? I was like, don't copy my book. I had no concept. And it has been a really cool journey to go down this rabbit hole, direct response, and it's a goal of mine to become a world-class copywriter. And so this is my next book is going to be all about that journey. But for now, let's focus on what the biggest thing. Are you focused on the wrong thing? I was so focused on selling $10 books until I realized that sell damn $10 books that make money. And I was focused on just the widgets. I realized that I was not giving a transformation that I thought I was going to provide, and no one really cared about the book. And it's critical that your clients and your employees and your vendors all know that what your USP is, and they can articulate it very quickly. And without that USP, you're going to be wasting money and hemorrhaging money on marketing that doesn't work. So I'm offended by how awful marketing is, and it's kind of I really view myself as the Henry Rollins of direct response. I just want to smash a lot of stuff and rebuild it. and I try to take a less aggressive posture so I can open my arms to the woo-woo marketers that are out there and try to bring them in. But ultimately, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you're doing, and your marketing is so me-focused that it's frankly offensive, especially on Facebook when you're interrupting my day and trying to like dog videos and pick my nose in private. And all I would do is get harassed by obnoxious marketing. So the definition of the USP is Russell Reeves. He said each promotion must make a proposition to the consumer and say to each reader, buy this product or service and you'll get this specific benefit. And the proposition must be one that the competition either cannot or does not offer. And basically, it needs to be so strong that it can move the masses, pull over new customers to your product or service, and take away market share from your competitors. So unless your USP really gets people to stop and pay attention, you're wasting your breath. And basically, my mentor summarizes it. Why should I do business with you versus any other options available to me, including doing nothing at all? Your prospects and your best clients are actually, they're welded to the couch, bored out of their mind, they don't care. And until you can speak language that they really resonates with them, you're wasting your breath. So this is out of the business model canvas, and this is what your USP actually looks like. You need to speak to problems and the pain relievers. People are out there, they're comfortably uncomfortable, and until your USP can speak to them, they're avoiding the pain by doing some other kind of substitute, which is basically doing nothing at all. Your features are the how your thing actually does it, but really they need to be turned into benefits. But it begins with the problem. The problem stops. What is their problem? And then you can show them the features, how it solves it, and why they want to solve it. And you need to, people buy with emotion and justify with logic, but they're secretly afraid that they're going to make a poor decision. So they've got hidden fears that you need to overcome and speak to. And then what, again, kind of affectionately refers to as dog whistles. And you need to speak the language that only your perfect clients would understand. And so your USP needs all staff and vendors and clients. You need to have a big, bold, and unique promise that you can articulate in one sentence. It's not good enough that you know it. Everybody who does business with you needs to know it. And you need to qualify the problem and articulate the benefit that solves that particular problem as clearly as possible. And being as specific in the areas of quality, service selection, whatever. They don't really care. Good service, quality service, the famous, why should you do business with us? Well, we provide good service. What does that even mean? You need to create a risk reversal and take on more of the risk of not doing business with you in this business. That's how you create offers. It becomes easier to do business rather than not doing business. And so basically, you fill a void that the competition is not filling. You can very quickly get out of the commodity game when you turn your product into some kind of emotional benefit beyond what your product actually does. So your USP has to matter to the prospects and be personally relevant to them, and you must be able to execute the proposition and create a dream come true experience. I mean, we can't even get basic customer service anymore, which is how I feel like Uber has been able to dominate the market, because all they need to do is just provide a decent service, and they just been able to clean up. So, and obviously providing enough positive social proof that you're the best choice is just going to go a long way for you. So your USP constantly evolves based on what the competition does. And so Eugene Schwartz's market awareness, scale, and basically yesterday's options are tomorrow's standard features. So you used to have anti-lock brakes as an option. You used to have power windows as an option. Now it's standard features in the cars. So your USP is going to constantly evolve as the market evolves, and you need to continuously be moving along with it. So people will actually want, I got this from Tony Robbins, and people are constantly on this scale between certainty and variety, and significance and love and connection. And then people will absolutely get these four personality needs. And then once they have fulfilled these needs, however they fill them, we all want some sort of variety. Some people chase it with drugs and alcohol. A lot of the variety is not positive, so just kind of try to find it on a scale. And then once they've found that certainty, variety, significance, and connection, they then can move on to like the growth and contribution aspects of their thing. So what is your product? How are you filling their team needs with your product? And people, what they really want, copywriting is all about getting paid, getting laid, and living forever. So people want money, they want some romance, self-preservation, and obviously recognition, which is a lot of, is your book an exercise in ego? Are you just looking for some recognition? What is your book really even doing? And are you selling paper and ink, or are you selling a transformation with your book? So you gotta ask yourself these questions and make sure you can articulate that in all of your marketing. And so this is the overcomplicated and fun version of the client value canvas by digital marketer, and where your book fits in here, and how you get to start having conversations with your best prospects, how you begin to move the free line and finally into the conversion line, and how do you get your best customers to be, how do you make more money working with less customers? You send them as clients. I really believe that a client isn't created until they're willing to refer for you. So a customer might buy your book, but the client will have a relationship with you. And I really believe in the theory of preeminence and all things to Abraham, and how to grow your business geometrically, how to increase the number of clients, frequency of purchases, and increase the amount of which they purchase. So beyond your book, are you doing one-on-one consulting? Are you training people? And how are you creating leverage, whether it's with other information courses or joint ventures? And there's lots of ways to stop time with your marketing and stop time in your business and create more freedom for yourself and create more of a transformation with your best clients and help them want to refer you. So this is a simplified version of my business model. And so how do you go on to know how much you can spend in order to acquire a customer? You need to know your direct marketing math. And you can type in marginal net worth into Google, or send me an email after this class, and I'm happy to send you these slides. But you need to know your numbers. And when you do know your numbers, you can buy clients for life. You can articulate a dollar value for each satisfied client. And then if you can get them to even refer one person, that doubles the lifetime value of that client. So it's critical that you know your number, your cost per goods sold, your margin. You can sell yourself out of business if you don't know this number. So this is how I have been implementing scalable business models to run some of the most profitable personal fitness training in the entire industry. And we do with target marketing strategies. We know our numbers between on our direct sales, the cost per conversion, on our websites and our email. We do direct mail and referrals. And this is, again, I'll send you a copy of these slides, but you can grow your business geometrically, exponentially. When you know your numbers, start working the numbers and relationships, theory of pyramids. And instead of overcomplicating it with all these upsells, downsells, fancy funnels, and all that stuff that we just kind of talked about, you just drive all of your traffic to one landing page and have a conversation with these people and deliver them beyond better than good experience on the front end, and just communicate with them afterwards. You can build a relationship to last for a lifetime with these people. And I'm a big preeminent marketer, but also a proponent of the shock and awe box. When somebody orders your book, you can send them an audio version of it and some extra bonuses, but you give them a sales letter and a newsletter in the back end. Like the more conversation points you can have, the more passed on value your book can have. It's a competition eliminator, it's a referral engine, and it's a case presentation for your highest value consulting and information products. So this is what it looks like. If you want a simple, ultimate marketing machine, this is what you need to be building with your book in mind. And this is how you can get in front of your best prospects and dial in your USP. All your USP needs to be throughout every single one of these different pages. So do not build a pogo stick business. I wanted to draw the most ridiculous, an armadillo on a pogo stick. Can't think of anything more ridiculous than that. And so stop building your business just with a book like I did when I first started. You want to build a bridge. That's why I coined the combat imagineer thing. Combat engineers build bridges and blow them up. So sometimes marketing campaigns need to be completely demolished, and I do it in short order. But you can be building a business on direct sales, some referral engines and systems, and joint ventures, direct mail is a thing, and I can tell you it's coming back. Well, and if it doesn't, I'm using it. So I've seen 400% increase on basic direct mail postcards. And obviously, when you have a backend, you can afford to spend a lot more for your first customers, and then obviously doing lead generation advertising, obviously lifetime lead generation advertising, if you're the lifetime value of your client sign up. Damn sure can do referrals. Damn sure can get it up. So with that. Stop hogging the microphone and turn it over to Laura, because I know you've got a lot of great information too.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing with writing a book is that it really gives you the opportunity to clearly define your USP in your industry. It helps you kind of get out from behind your computer and start actually talking to real people. And, you know, Eric and I were talking earlier, and something that is really common with people who want to write books is that they're the best kept secret in their industry. And what we mean by that is you might be an expert, you might be the best at what you do, but nobody knows about it. And so that's a huge problem in terms of how you're going to be able to sell, your services, your products, whatever you're working towards. You've really got to have your USP clearly dialed down and easily communicated so that you can really start leveraging that material. So what I want to share with you is the slides that I've got here. So I worked in publishing for a long time. In Australia, I did editorial and publicity. So there are hundreds and hundreds of books that I worked on while I was publishing there. And then across the course of ghostwriting a bunch of books for clients, there are some really common mistakes that people make along the way that really damage your ability to communicate your USP and really damage your ability to ever make the book pay for itself, to acquire clients, to establish you as the leader in your industry. So before we kind of talk about how to leverage the book and how to really drive that USP home, I want to talk about those mistakes so that you can just shortcut them yourself if you're at the beginning of the process of writing a book, or if you need to go back and revise a book that you've already produced. So first one is not clearly defining who your reader is. Most people in business have some sense of who their customer avatar is, but forget about it immediately when they start writing a book. So any effective marketing asset has to address a specific avatar or an ideal customer, because you just can't be all things to all people. So you've really got to have a clear idea of who your primary reader is going to be. And I say primary reader because most books are going to have a few different types of readers, but you've really got to write it for one person, the person that you specifically want to work with, your ideal customer, the sort of dream option. If your secondary and tertiary readers, get value from it as well, maybe these are people who are maybe a good fit, or they will be a good fit in the future. That's great, but you don't write it for them. You write it for your ideal customer. So don't try to be all things to all people. Specifically write your material to address your ideal customer. So to do that, you can answer these questions. In your current business, who pays you the most and what are their most common characteristics? So you might find that people in a specific niche or a specific industry have no trouble paying your fees, are very comfortable and confident in your abilities, and they're great to work with. So who are the people that you like working with the most and could have the biggest impact on your business? So who do you get along with naturally? Who are the nodes in their networks? Who can refer you on to other clients that are just like them? And then what are the fears, needs, desires, language, and attitudes of those people? How do you need to communicate with them, or what do you need to communicate to them so that they're highly motivated to go out to their networks and talk about you, talk about your process, and sort of rave about you after they've read this book and really understood what an expert you are. So the second mistake is writing the book that you want to write and not the book that your reader needs to read. So this is a really common problem. Somebody will be like, okay, I'm going to write a book about my business and it's going to be great. We're going to talk about all of this stuff, but maybe they don't give away the most important information, or they talk about something that the reader is not really interested in. The purpose of writing a book about your business is to define why you're the best at it. And so you've really got to lay out all of your expertise. You've really got to be clear and specific. Think about the questions that people are asking you most commonly, the things that they're really desperate to understand, and write about that, because while it might be uncomfortable for you, that's what they need. So think about what makes you the best in the business. What is your unique combination of experience and insights that will differentiate you from your competitors? This is really important to understand because, again, this goes back to your USP. If you are just like everybody else, you're providing the same service, providing the same content, there's no real reason for people to stay motivated to work with you. So you've really got to be able to define what the most common problems are that you're helping people with, and what's the transformation you can achieve for them. What are the case studies of huge successes that you've had? How have you been able to take a different approach to what's commonly done so that your clients just really accelerate? So stories like that are great social proof, and they are also very motivating for people because they can see a solution to a problem that they're already having, and there's suddenly a path for them to achieve that. So always make sure that you're thinking about the transformation that you can communicate through your book. So this is a big one, and it's kind of a complex problem. Mistake number 3 is holding back the secret ingredient that makes your USP work. So inertia is a really, really powerful force. You can't fight physics, and it's going to stop people from engaging with you if you don't surprise them and really over deliver on what they're expecting to get from you. So you've really got to give away your entire system. And this freaks people out a lot because they think, well, my competitors will read this book. They're going to understand like why we're so good at what we do. They're going to rip off all of our stuff. Inertia also works on your competitors. So don't worry too much about that, because even if they read your book, which they probably won't, they are already using a strategy that's more or less working for them. So for them to change complete direction is going to be a huge resource sink for them. And even if they do decide that they're going to change direction, it's going to take them years to catch up to you, because they'll be completely overhauling all of their systems and everything, and you'll be in a completely different place by then as a result of having dialed in your USP so much and made this book pay off for you. So don't worry too much about that. You've got to be able to give people the key elements that make your approach work. So think about what you do differently that makes your approach better than what your competitors or the market are doing. Make sure that you're sharing what readers would need to do to get similar results if they followed your process. Obviously, you're the expert here. They're never going to be able to do it as well as you can. And that's also a big element of why people will read your book and then get you to do it, because they can see that there's a lot that goes into it. They get it now, but it's a lot of work. I'd rather just have someone else do it. So also finally think about how you can give the readers information to feel confident about your approach, and show them why it would be better for you to do it for them. So this is kind of more of a customer psychology element. If you have a complex process and somebody gets on a call with you knowing nothing about how you do what you do, they feel on the back foot. They feel like they have no leverage in their interaction with you. But if they've read a book and understand how you approach your business, they feel confident that they're educated. They know what questions they want to ask. They feel like it's a more even footing for them. And so they feel less defensive. They're more open to your suggestions, and it just creates a much healthier, more, it gives the interaction a lot more momentum just right from the outset. So make sure that you're being really clear about how you get the results that you get. This is another huge one. Leaving the marketing until after the book is written is dead in the water. You got to start early. So when you launch a book, there's a huge amount of stuff that goes into doing that before that actual launch date. So you've really got to be building the marketing into the product as you're developing it. This means building communities around it, generating lots of interest, seeding, promotional opportunities. If you say it takes you 6 months to write your book, that's 6 months of marketing that you could be doing that you would just completely miss out on if you just start thinking about it once the book is written. So market early and market often. It's really, really important, because there's a lot of content coming out in every medium. You've got to have a clear differentiator there as well. So think about where your readers spend their time and attention. Where do they get their information and opinions? Who do they pay attention to? What are the platforms? What are the kind of cultural zeitgeists that they follow? What are they thinking about? Once you've kind of got a clear sense of where their media attention goes, think about your dream list of promotions. What are the highest leverage opportunities that you could focus on? So that might be a huge podcast in your industry. It might be getting some coverage in a traditional newspaper, or doing a an affiliate deal. Like there are lots of different things that you can do depending on what kind of business you're in. But think about the highest leverage opportunities, because it's way more effective to do 3 really big things than to do 50 tiny things. So think about aiming high from the beginning. You can do the 50 small things as well, but make sure that you're aiming high, because then at least, even if you don't get all of them, the general momentum is going to be significant. And that's where building a community around the book will also really help, because having a groundswell of people who are interested in it, a groundswell of ideal readers and customers, kind of creates a ripple effect that will help the book become self-sustaining. Finally, and of course this is the most important thing, is writing a bad book. So no marketing will save you if the material sucks. People have very limited attention for a bad book, because their time is limited, their attention is limited. There's lots of other things that they could be doing. So if your book is disjointed or boring, or it's full of mistakes, it harms your brand, because it makes you seem like an amateur, and it drives your ideal customers away, because they think, well, you're not going to be fun to interact with, you don't really know what you're doing. Make sure you write a good book. This is really, really critical. So the kind of key elements of writing a good book is to have a really clear central idea, that core idea that I call the North Star. So this is the thing, that the leading idea where you can always, throughout writing, go back and say, does this fit with this core idea? Does this material I'm talking about now develop this core idea further? Yes or no? And it's a really simple way to keep the material moving and keep it focused. So within that, what are the key concepts that you need to communicate? What's the most logical way to present them? Don't just throw a hodgepodge of everything you know onto a page, because it's very overwhelming for a reader to kind of absorb. And if you're not a confident writer, who can help you produce the best possible version of this book? Most entrepreneurs and business owners are not professional writers. I'm not an accountant. I'm not, a combat engineer. I can't do those things because I'm not trained to do it. And there's nothing wrong with you not being trained as a writer. So if you're planning on producing a book, make sure that you've either got the skills to do it yourself, or that you get some support to help you produce a really polished final product. So start building the launch momentum. We're going to start, like I said, long before the book is even finished. So, and Eric, feel free to jump in here if you've got any stuff that you want to add.
Well, yeah, it's, even as a professional copywriter, writing my own copy is the most difficult and painful thing I could ever do. So writing the book and the editing of the book was awful. It's like bleeding. It's like a really awful experience. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's probably a good reason why not many people actually get their books written. But it doesn't need. It's really it can be a painless process. So I just wanted to echo that when I'm writing copy for business owners, it's effortless for me to write their copy, because I can look at it as an outside perspective, and I'm like, you're missing this, you idiot. Like, this is like. Why aren't we talking about this? But when I'm writing my own stuff, you can't look in the mirror and see what you're missing. So
you're too close to the factory.
Yeah.
So it's outside eyes are really important. Okay, so to make sure that you're marketing the book as effectively as possible, even before it's launched, you want to start building a community around it. And at the moment, the easiest way to do that is to create a private Facebook group that you add people to over time. So it's a really great opportunity to connect with your ideal customer and start getting them involved in developing the book. So I'd suggest just reaching out to everybody personally that you can think of that fits your reader profile and say, hey, I'm writing this book. It's going to be about North Star. Would you like to be in this Facebook group so that, you can give me some real feedback? I'd love your input. You have all of these XYZ factors that make you relevant for this. So make sure that they see what's in it for them. And once they're in and getting involved, then ask them to invite the people in their networks that this would also be useful for, to kind of create some momentum, getting people interested in the book as you're developing it. This is a really powerful thing because it engineers audience ownership of the book. So this is really about leveraging the psychology of your audience. When people have given their opinion on something, they feel very invested in how that thing goes on to perform. So if you have Ask them for their opinion on the material that's going to be included in the book. If you have asked for their opinion on the title, on the cover, if you have asked them to contribute their own stories and lessons to be featured in the book, when the book launches, they're going to be so excited to tell people about it because they will have had this real tangible impact on this thing that's going out in the world. It leverages their ego, their sense of reciprocity to you, their cognitive consistency as well. So cognitive dissonance is this really interesting thing that is a really, really powerful tool, and it can be used for good and evil. So make sure you're using it for good. But when people have said that they're committed to something, they will go to extreme lengths to remain consistent with what they've said previously, because it's very uncomfortable when you're not behaving in line with how you have said that you are. So if people are bought into this idea of your book, if they feel like they've contributed something to it, they're going to go to extreme lengths to help you make it a success so that they feel good about their involvement in it and feel like they're staying consistent and basically being a good person, good customer for you. So once you've got your community up and rolling, think about who's your dream team. Who is, go back to your list of dream promotions and the high leverage opportunities. Think about whether you can include those people in the book in a relevant way. So obviously you don't want to be sucking up or anything, but you want to look at some work that they've previously done that's relevant to what you're talking about and highlight that so that you can reach out to them and say, I featured you in my book. It's going to be coming out X date. I'd love to talk to you a bit about it. Maybe we can do a podcast together or something. Take it slowly, build that relationship, make sure that they're getting as much value from it as you will get from them. But, get the introductions, start engaging with them in a meaningful way. Everybody loves an ego stroke. So if you can include them in your book, do it, because it makes it so easy to connect with them, so easy to get them to be supportive. It's got to be meaningful. Obviously, you can't just name drop and be like, oh, hey, I featured you. And, there's no actual material supporting you having included them. But it's a really great way to also establish yourself as a peer of those people. It puts you on par with them because you're collating useful information for your audience. And so being able to do that kind of becoming that resource for your network is very powerful. So podcasts are an incredible tool when you're promoting books, where it used to be that you would have to do a tour or, try and do like a big pitch round to newspapers and this sort of thing. Podcasts are just the ideal marketing tool for books because they have large self-selecting audiences and they have regular updates. So most shows need a steady stream of guests. You want to start pitching yourself to all of the relevant shows a few weeks before the book launches. People are generally going to be receptive to it because it's exhausting to find a new guest every week to talk to. But if you come along with something that's high quality and is really relevant to this self-selecting audience, it's just a no-brainer for the host to say yes to you. So create a landing page for podcast listeners. It can just be a general landing page. It doesn't have to be a new one for every different podcast. So you can do that if you want to, so that you're collecting the contact information of the audience. So it's not enough to just go and put this out into the world. You've also got to be proactive about inviting them into your community, inviting them onto your email list so that you can continue to market to them after they've read the book. So you always want to have an opportunity to ascend the audience, even if it's another person's audience, so that you can ascend them through your offers and start making, bringing them into your customer base as well. And this is to leverage your assets. So once you've got some coverage, so for example, if you get covered on like a mid-tier podcast or news platform, start trading up the chain. Start going to bigger shows and bigger news platforms saying, I got covered on this thing. We talked about X, Y, Z. Here's some of the stuff that the audience has been saying. Here's why it would be useful for you. So snowball that attention. Don't let inertia get to you because it will settle on you as well. It affects everybody. So make sure that you keep it moving once the book is produced, because it's a big investment to produce a book in terms of your time, your attention, and your money. You've really got to make that thing work for you. It's like buying any investment asset, you've got to make it work for you. So make sure that you are reaching out to your personal and professional network. Do it personally. Don't do like a standard email that's like, hey, I wrote a book, I'd love a review. Do like a, hey, it's been a while since we talked about this. You told me about this last time we spoke. Go really deep, like invest in your network, because that's where the on-flow effect is going to come from. So ask for the reviews, ask for the purchases and whatever, ask them to share it if it's relevant, but really invest in the network and just let them know that it's there, because then people feel less pressure to share it and therefore are more likely to share it. So let them know that it's there, give them an opportunity to help you build your asset, but don't like sell it too hard. But when it's in the media side of things, always trade up. Just don't let the coverage slow down. So keep that up. So as I said, make sure the book is getting to work for you. So this is a point at which, I mean, Eric and I have talked about this quite a lot, is, how to use the book once it's out in the world, because it's great to do a launch and, maybe you're going to get a good amount of sales and some good coverage up front, but how do you sustain the momentum that the book has created, and how do you turn that into real long-term revenue streams for your business? Because realistically, most people are not making a lot of money from the royalties of their book. They're not making tons in sales, and some people are, but they're few and far between. It's much more effective to focus on the opportunities that a book can create. So the first one is the pattern interrupt. So everybody has multiple emails. Everybody's got tons of stuff vying for their attention. If you can send your book to your dream client and just mark a section, maybe a particular chapter that would be relevant, and include a handwritten note saying why this particular information would be relevant to them, it's a huge pattern interrupt. It really is going to get their attention, because it shows that you're thinking about them, that you've really delved into what they need, and let them know that you've got some ideas about how they can implement this, and then that you'll call them in a few days to check in about it. So it bypasses their gatekeeper, it gets their attention, it sets you apart from everybody else who's probably pitching them, and it takes all of the pressure off them to follow up with you, because you're going to handle it. So this is a huge way to get to a higher level of client to what you've been able to access before, and it's a really reliable method of getting people to respond positively to you. This is another great opportunity to reactivate your old clients as well. So people who you've previously worked with and who are profitable or really great to work with, send them a copy too. There's no reason that you can't go back and help them out with this new material. Thank them for helping you hone your offer, your USP, and your skill and the skills that you bring to the business. But ask them how they're going with it. Talk about what they can implement that's new, and send them some suggestions about what you could work on together from this new material. And then follow up again with a call in a couple of days and some sort of reactivation offer. Maybe it's a loyalty discount or some additional bonus to make it really valuable to them. But use the opportunity to go back and tap that well again. So hitting the speaking circuit is a really powerful way to access new parts of your market or into new markets. It's a great way to become a better known expert. So like we were saying before, if you're the best expert no one's ever heard of, it's not much good to you. Getting on the speaking circuit is a really great way to start building that public profile, and it helps just reinforce your positioning as an expert and as a real leader that people want to work with. If you literally wrote the book on a topic, then any industry event is going to be really lucky to have you. They're going to be, it makes it an easy sell when you've got a successful book to show that really demonstrates why you're leading your particular industry. And this is the same for getting media interviews, ongoing podcasts, doing live events. And this is why I say, it's important to snowball any momentum that you do get, so that down the line you can leverage it and say, I did all of these interviews, I've done all of these podcasts or events, here's why I'm so great, listen to some sample material, here's what you're going to get from me. It just makes it really easy to line up all of these different opportunities. So this is an old concept from Brian Kurtz, who was extremely successful in direct mail marketing. His idea is that you start with an online offer for your audience, then you move them to an offline offer, then you move them back online. The idea being that you start with a cheap, a low ticket item, something that's just an easy purchase for them to make. Then you move them offline, where you can build a really personal interaction with them and therefore sell them a much higher ticket item. And then you can move them back online, where there's maybe a continuity program or some sort of ongoing relationship with them. So a book is a great way to start one of these campaigns, because you can sell physical copies of the book. You just do free plus shipping or some low price point, whatever you're comfortable with. That will give you the customer's address. So then you can go to the offline part of the campaign. You send them some big package, like really, really over deliver for what they're expecting. You can then follow up with a physical sales letter that will move them into a more high price point offer. And when you're selling high ticket, it's really important to have that personal touch, because there needs to be a lot of trust, a lot of rapport. And so creating a real world experience for them makes it much more likely that they're going to be comfortable moving to that higher price point. Then once you've delivered on this high ticket sale, and obviously you've really got to do a great job, again, it comes back to like delivering a great product. But once you've delivered on that, then you can move them into an online program, or, a mastermind or events, or, whatever you want to do online, that really maximizes the lifetime value of each customer. But the book is the leader of this campaign. It's what starts it all. It contextualizes everything that comes after, so you can really put it to work for you for a very long time. And finally, you can use it just to get in the room. Having a book that has branded you as an expert just opens up a lot of opportunities. When I wrote my own book, it brought not only a lot of ideal clients straight to me, but I got invited to multiple events. I met a bunch of people that I never would have been able to access otherwise. And it's led to things like joint ventures, new products. It just creates a whole lot of opportunities, and it puts you on par with the other experts. So you can give it away to other people's lists as a way to add value to their audiences. You can use it to leverage other people's audiences for particular offers. It can help you get the attention of the people that you want to access. So someone said to me once that you've got to make room for serendipity in your life, and writing a book just opens the door on that. It gives you so many opportunities that just would never have come to you without that visibility. So when you start getting in the room, say yes to the interviews, say yes to the invitations, make sure that you move forward with the opportunities that the book creates. So it's a lot to digest there, but recapping, make sure your USP is really clear. Don't make any of those mistakes that kill it early. Make sure that you're producing something that's really high quality, and just drive the hell out of this book. Make it work for you. So yeah.
Cool. Well, let's do a great summary. So let me share let's riff on some stuff while I got you here, since I'm going to get some free consulting out of you. But it does not serve you to be unknown expert. You want to be the obvious expert in your face. So
absolutely,
writing a book not only kind of catalyzes what you know and forces you to put it into a logical order, so you can repeat the process. So it's not just like a great fuzzy idea, but it gives a little piece of you to be able to go with somebody else. It makes it really easy to do business with you, and then it marks you as the subject matter expert. So what kind of encouragement would you have to somebody who's on the fence about writing a book, about why should they do this thing, even though they don't want, like I said, sell out $10 books. So what would be something to push somebody over the edge to finally get off their ass and get the book done?
I always think about it in terms of opportunity cost. So if you don't have a book, the likelihood of your competitors creating something really powerful increases every day. And the gap you have currently might be significant. And so if you can create a moat between where you are the advantage you have because of your expertise and how far behind everybody else is, you should be working always to expand that. You want to maintain as much distance from your competitors in terms of your competitive advantage as you can. And writing a book is just such an effective way to do that. It really protects your market share. It can bring a lot of market share to you. And if you are not producing your book sooner rather than later, it's likely that your competitors will. And then that moat shrinks significantly and your competitive advantage goes with it. And unfortunately, competitive advantage is really the thing that keeps most businesses afloat. So if you lose that, you're going to be in pretty dire straits. So it's not the only way to do it, but I would say it's probably the most direct way and the most highly leverageable way to maintain that advantage.
The quick and the dead, right?
It is.
And we kind of dialed this in, the cost of not doing this. I hate having consulting time available that I'm not able to fill. That's like the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
So not only does a book create more leverage that you've got recurring income, but also it fills your calendar with opportunities to sell consulting, or it gets you in the room to do more training, and it really costs you a lot by not having if you're doing manual prospecting instead of having people educated and motivated wanting to do business with you because they've read your book. It allows you to get those frequently asked questions out of the way before you have these cold conversations and trying to establish a position from a position of weakness to a position of expert authority. When you have the book to just say, when someone asks you a question, you just hand them your book. Here it is. Like, do you want to do business with me, or do you want to figure it out on your own? Do you want to go to Google and figure out all this stuff on your own? Because I've got the answers right here.
Yeah.
So I feel like it leverages your time and your money with like one very simple, proven tool that's been a timeless credentializer of. And really, there's no reason not to do it. But have I missed anything?
I think one thing to remember as well is that when someone has read your book, even if you've never spoken to them before, if they read your book and then get on a call with you, they're not cold anymore. That's no longer a cold conversation. They already know you, like you, and trust you. So you've shortcutted that process of building rapport into your relationship with them just by writing this book. So this is kind of something that people miss, is like the cost of not doing this is that every time you approach a new prospect, you're coming at them cold when you could have an established relationship with them without having had to do any additional work. So it really gives you an opportunity to build deeper, more trusting relationships with your customers. And if your customers don't trust you, they're just never going to work with you. So building that trust before you've ever had to invest any time talking to them is, worth the price of admission alone.
Get off of the manual labor hamster wheel of having those same conversations over and over. I know I hate repeating myself. So again, you can't see the pain when you're stuck inside the frame. And that's been the whole concept behind the cartooning side of my business. It's a light way to kind of characterize the problems that you're having and make you look at how things are. So if you want to have a conversation with us, we welcome an initial conversation to see if it would be a good fit for us to work with either one of us on an ongoing basis. And so if you do want to reach out to us, we would be able to give you a step-by-step plan to make more money working with less clients. I have a Dream 100 from Chet Holmes process, very dialed in. Like, if you could only make 100 more sales in your business, what would that look like? And when you have your USB dialed in from marketing experts, you can have more effective communication with your best clients, and you're no longer going to compete on price. And like we said, in order to scale business, you need leverage. You need to have this core, really easy way to do business with you, and it's much better than a free opt-in on any kind of email list. A paying buyer is going to consume your content in some capacity, but it is read the cover with your name on it. It's a much different proposition than downloading your free ebook.
Yeah.
On any kind of email list. So, am I missing anything here?
I think it makes it a lot easier for you to scale your business exponentially rather than in a linear way. You know, a book if your growth is kind of going gradually, a book can just take it up really quickly because it just, as I said, increases that moat so significantly and opens the door to a whole bunch of new clients, new contacts, and new opportunities. It's just a really highly leveraged asset.
So if you're interested in having a conversation, I'd encourage you to write me an email, eric@ericbakey.com, and I'll connect you with Laura, and just put the subject, scale my book, and we'll jump on a quick call to see if you're where you're at in your business, and if it makes sense to work with the two of us. We can show you how to make more money with your book, and that's with marketing and with the ghostwriting process and all of the book launch stuff that you do. And really, I know that if we have one focused hour between the three of us, we can have a transformative hour that is leveraged throughout the next quarter, year. And I know the power of having someone else look at my copy, look at my direct marketing math, getting it checked out, and just in a safe place, having subject matter experts look at my business and carefully tell me truth that I really need to hear. It has been profound, the mastermind effect of my business. I've always tried to make sure I'm the dumbest person in the room, but I've never been made to feel dumb by anybody that I've ever asked help for. So I want to invite you that if you've got anything from this training and would like to see if it makes sense to work with us, just send me an email. We'll have a quick chat to see about the three of us getting on a call and going over your current strategy and how we can exponentially improve it, because it's very possible. And anything else you'd like to close with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the books continue to be one of the biggest opportunities, particularly as online, the amount of content being produced is just massive. If you can produce something that's really high quality and then use it strategically and effectively with a clear plan within your business, it just immediately sets you apart. So I think it's a way to build long-term sustainability and long-term profitability into your business using an asset that you maybe already have. And so let's get in a room together and make sure that you're using all of the assets that you have available as effectively as possible, see some new opportunities, and really help you to scale up your business over the next year or two.
Yeah, and my mentor, Jay Abraham, getting everything you can out of everything you've got. And I've learned how to scale businesses geometrically, and I know the three of us help you, the two of us help you get around corners. And it's more than you be doing around. I know the mastermind effect.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
So, well, thanks a lot for coming out and doing this masterclass with me. This is a lot of fun.
It was awesome.
And I hope to see you on a call together soon. So,
thanks, guys.
Yeah.